The man you were born to be is buried beneath layers of habit, not genetics, not circumstances, habit. And every habit you indulge either sharpens your future or shackles it. When you check your phone instead of checking your purpose, when you scroll instead of study, when you waste time with people who drain you instead of train you, you are training the weaker version of you to win. You're building his house, you're filling his lungs, you're putting food on his table. And then you wonder why he's so strong. But what happens when you start starving him? What happens when you flip the pattern? You begin each day in silence, not noise. You fill your mind with vision, not distraction. You write your plans instead of reacting to everyone else's. You show up whether you feel like it or not. That's when the war starts. And make no mistake, it is a war. A war between the man you are and the man you could be. Between the version of you that hesitates and the version that hunts, between the one that craves comfort and the one that was built for conquest. This war won't be won in a single day, but it must be fought every day. Abraham Lincoln once said, "Discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most." Understand that. Tattoo that on your soul. Every time you reach for the easy path, the old you wins. But when you choose the hard road, the early wake up, the extra rep, the tough conversation, the focused hour, the final push, you're planting the flag of your future self, because nothing about greatness is convenient. Edison failed 10,000 times to invent the light bulb, not because he loved failure, but because he knew who he was becoming. Disney was fired for lacking imagination before he created a world that would outlive generations. Henry Ford went broke 5 times before he changed the world of transportation. You know what they all had in common? They killed the part of themselves that feared rejection. They murdered the voices that said, "Be realistic." They butchered the weak version before it could bury the genius. And that's exactly what you must do. You don't wait for life to hand you clarity. You demand it from yourself. You don't pray for discipline. You build it with repetition. You don't hope for confidence. You create it by showing up even when you're scared. You kill that weak version by refusing to feed it. Every minute spent doubting, every hour wasted overthinking, every excuse entertained, it all strengthens the enemy within. But every second of focused action, every morning you rise early with fire, every commitment you keep even when no one's watching, that's how you take his power away. The weak version of you is not immortal. He doesn't survive the furnace. He doesn't last in the fight. He doesn't win when you choose discipline over delay. He dies, screaming, every time you rise above your excuses and remind the world, "I am not that man anymore." Let the world question you. Let your friends think you've changed. Let them say, "You're too intense." Good. You were born to be intense. You were born to be unapologetically focused, relentlessly committed, ferociously alive. That weak version of you, he was never meant to survive. He was just the first draft. You are here to write the masterpiece. Everything changes when you stop trying to improve your life from the outside in and start shaping it from the inside out. You don't need a new strategy. You need a new standard. And standards are not set by what you say you want. They're revealed by what you tolerate, what you allow to continue, what you excuse in yourself. Do you wake up when the alarm goes off, or do you snooze it and lie to yourself that 5 more minutes won't hurt? Do you finish what you start, or do you stack half-built bridges that lead nowhere? Do you train your body, your mind, your craft, or do you numb your time with distractions and justify it with "I'm tired"? That's where your future is being built, in those silent decisions no one else sees. That's the battlefield where identity is won or lost. The person you're meant to become, they don't wait for motivation. They are governed by purpose. They move with precision. They speak with clarity. They walk into rooms with presence, not because they're faking it, but because they've earned it. Every late night when you wanted to quit but didn't, that's where character was built. Every early morning when the bed begged you to stay, but you chose mission over mood, that's when you rose. Not just in routine, in identity, because becoming isn't something that happens in a moment. It's not found in some big opportunity or breakthrough. It's in the grind, the boring, the mundane, the days you wanted to disappear but showed up anyway. You think kings are born in light? They're born in the dark, in silence, in rejection, in failure after failure, when they still chose to keep going. Do not underestimate how powerful you become when you consistently do what others avoid. That's what makes you rare. That's what builds the kind of internal gravity that pulls opportunity toward you. Not because you begged for it, because you became the kind of person who attracts it. You don't chase success. You build a version of yourself so aligned, so undeniable, that success has no choice but to show up. You think Tesla built his empire by waiting for the right mood? He slept in his lab. He worked through illness. He thought in years, not minutes. He didn't just act like a genius. He lived it day in, day out, without apology. You want to become the person you're meant to be? Then stop negotiating with your old self. That version of you, the one who settled, who feared, who avoided hard things, they don't get a vote anymore. You've outgrown them. The mind that got you here won't get you there. The habits that kept you safe won't make you strong. The identity that helped you survive won't help you thrive. So burn the script, rewrite the rules, and stop showing up like you're half committed to your own life. Because the future belongs to the one who acts like they've already claimed it, who walks with the fire of certainty, who makes decisions with conviction, not convenience, who builds without applause, trains without needing validation, creates without asking permission. That's what makes you dangerous. Not your talent, your standards, your consistency, your identity, forged, tested, refined. Every step forward from this moment must say, I already am the person I was born to become. Because once you live from that place, the world has no choice but to respond. You already know who you're supposed to be. You feel it in your gut. Not the version of you that wakes up tired, distracted, and doubtful. Not the version that second guesses, apologizes for dreaming, or waits for someone to give permission. No, deeper than all that, there is a version of you that is clear, powerful, disciplined, unstoppable. And the reason you feel that inner tension, it's because you're not acting like them yet. You're still trying to solve future problems with old patterns, still speaking like the old you, thinking like the version that failed, moving like the version that's waiting. But the future doesn't belong to the one who waits. It belongs to the one who becomes. The world doesn't give you what you deserve. It gives you what you match. Your habits, your words, your energy, they broadcast who you are, not who you wish to be, not who you used to be, who you are right now, in this moment. And if who you are is still thinking small, still hoping instead of building, still wishing instead of working, the world reflects that back, not to punish you, but to wake you up. The game changed the moment you realize this. You don't become successful and then act like that person. You act like that person and then you become successful, not the other way around. That means showing up before you feel ready, speaking with clarity before you have proof, moving with intention before you have results, because belief is a discipline, not a mood. Think of Lincoln. He didn't wait to feel powerful. He spoke words that shaped nations even when his own voice trembled. Carnegie didn't wait to feel worthy of wealth. He moved through steel and smoke with a vision so bold it made kings nervous. Edison didn't wait for perfect conditions. He failed his way forward until the darkness surrendered. What if you stopped negotiating with fear, stopped worshiping your limitations, stopped telling yourself stories that were written by weaker versions of you? What if, starting today, you acted like the person you're meant to become, not pretend, not fake, but fully embody, with discipline, with fire, with absolute command? Because the greatest transformation you'll ever experience is not when your bank account changes. It's when your identity changes. And identity is not found, it's forged through daily decisions, through relentless action, through the refusal to let your circumstances write your destiny. You've waited long enough. You've collected enough quotes. You've watched enough videos, heard enough sermons, journaled enough dreams. Now is the time to become. Not tomorrow, not when you have more clarity, not when you feel more confident. Confidence isn't a prerequisite, it's a byproduct. and it only comes to the one bold enough to act before they feel ready. Every time you take aligned action, you cast a vote for your future self. Every time you show up with discipline, you reinforce the identity you're building. And every time you refuse to settle, the universe takes note. But if you keep acting like the version of you that gave up, if you keep repeating the habits of the version that doubted, if you keep reacting like the version that feared everything, then you stay there. You don't grow into your future, you decay into your past. That's the quiet tragedy of most lives. They had greatness inside them, but they never acted like it. Clarity is the first weapon. You cannot hit a target you cannot see, and yet most people stumble through life with fogged up vision, chasing shadows, following crowds, obeying the script they never wrote. They chase money without a mission. They chase validation without values, and in the end, they lose both. If you want to be part of the 3%, you must become obsessed, not with results, but with direction. Ask yourself, not what do I want today, but what must I build for the next 10 years? What legacy must I carve with my life? Not what job pays the most, but what work awakens me. Because when your vision is clear, decisions become easy. Distractions lose their power. Time becomes a weapon, not a burden. And you move through life with the force of a man or woman on a mission. Henry Ford didn't ask what was possible. He asked what was necessary. Lincoln didn't ask for approval. He asked what was right. Walt Disney was laughed out of multiple studios, fired for lacking imagination, and yet he imagined a world that didn't exist and built it anyway. That's the kind of clarity the 3% live with. Not a clarity based on what's safe, but on what's necessary. Necessary for their purpose, necessary for their calling, necessary for the man or woman they were born to become. But clarity means nothing without action. Ideas are cheap. Everyone has them. Execution is the currency of success. And here's where 97% fail again. They wait for motivation. They wait until they feel ready. They confuse emotion with commitment. They pray for the mood instead of training the muscle. Discipline is not about how you feel. It's about who you decide to be, over and over and over again. When it's boring, when it's hard, when it's lonely, when no one claps, that's the forge where winners are made. Motivation whispers, discipline commands, and that's what separates those who wish from those who win. You think Carnegie felt like getting up? The moment you decide, truly decide, to kill that version, everything changes, not instantly, not magically, but fundamentally. Because when you burn the bridge back to who you used to be, there is no escape hatch, no soft landing, only forward, only fire. And that fire, that's what forges the real you. Listen carefully. You are not born disciplined. You're not born confident. No one exits the womb with courage tattooed on their heart. These are forged qualities, beaten into shape on the anvil of resistance. Every morning you wake up and drag your body out of bed when you don't feel like it. You swing the hammer. Every time you open your mouth and speak your truth instead of biting your tongue for comfort, you swing the hammer. Every time you show up with purpose when no one's watching, when no one's clapping, when no one's paying, you swing the damn hammer. And eventually that soft, fearful version of you, he stops fighting back. He starves, he shrinks, he dies, but only if you keep swinging. Napoleon Hill said it like this: deliberately seek the company of people who influence you to think and act on building the life you desire. Not the ones who pity your problems, not the ones who tolerate your excuses, the ones who make you ashamed to play small, the ones who demand the strongest version of you to show up every time. If you don't have those people in your life, become one of them. Become so disciplined, so driven, so focused that your very existence becomes a standard others feel obligated to rise to. You see, this is not about motivation. Motivation comes and goes like the weather. What we're talking about here is identity, and identity is built through consistency. You think winners wait to feel like it? No. Winners act and let the feelings follow, because they understand that action doesn't just change circumstances, it rewires belief. If you act like a man on a mission long enough, you become one. And a man on a mission doesn't have time to flirt with the weaker version of himself. He doesn't entertain thoughts of quitting. He doesn't keep company with cowardice. He wakes up with a fire in his chest and a vow in his soul. I will not die like this. I will not leave this world full of potential. I was too lazy, too distracted, too afraid to use. You want freedom? Start with discipline. You want confidence? Keep promises to yourself. You want clarity? Strip away everything that isn't aligned with your purpose. The weak version of you thrives in confusion. He thrives in excuses. He thrives in comfort. Kill his oxygen. Take away his shelter. Stop feeding him with thoughts like, I'm not ready, or what if I fail? You don't rise by avoiding failure. You rise by outlasting it. Let it come. Let it beat on your door like a storm, but you stand in the middle of that storm with a spine of steel and say, I will not bend. I will not bow. I was not made to retreat. This isn't just about becoming better. This is about becoming brutal with yourself. The kind of brutal that says, I don't care what I feel like. I care what I said I'd do. Because every day you act out of discipline instead of emotion, that weak version of you dies another death. And every day you show up stronger, even 1% stronger. You sharpen the weapon that will carve your future. You are not soft clay waiting to be molded. You are the sculptor, the hammer, the chisel, and the masterpiece. But only if you kill the version of you that keeps pretending otherwise. You are not behind, you are not late, you are right on time. The moment you decide to stop hiding behind fear, you've spent too long negotiating with mediocrity. And every time you try to balance ambition with comfort, you dilute both. Let me be clear. You don't kill the weak version of yourself by being nice to it. You kill it by outgrowing it. You starve it of your attention, your energy, your participation. You stop indulging the thoughts that say, I'm not ready, I'm too tired, maybe tomorrow. And you replace them with a roar. I move now. Because movement is the weapon. Action is the cure. Progress is the scalpel that cuts the old you out of your skin. You cannot wait until you feel strong to start. That's the trap. Strength is earned in motion. Courage is built on the battlefield, not in the comfort of theory. Every time you delay, you're not just wasting time. You are strengthening the grip of the man you say you want to kill. You're letting him grow, letting him whisper, letting him lead. You say you want to be great, but are you willing to bleed for it? Are you willing to be misunderstood, mocked, ignored, even hated? Because the weak version of you needs approval. He craves validation. He fears isolation, discomfort, failure. But the real you, the one buried underneath, he doesn't need the crowd. He doesn't need permission. He only needs clarity. And once he sees the path, he doesn't hesitate. That's the mindset of warriors, of builders, of legends. Think of Carnegie, who grew up in poverty, working in a cotton factory at the age of 13, and still went on to dominate steel and industry because he believed something greater was possible and refused to live as a product of his surroundings. Think of Theodore Roosevelt, sickly and weak as a child, who transformed his body through relentless training, built his mind through rigorous reading, and rose to lead a nation. None of these men waited to feel ready. They killed the version of themselves that didn't belong on the throne. They trained a different voice to lead, and that's what you must do. Every day you speak to yourself in words no one hears but you, and those words are building your identity. You say, I'm tired, and you train weakness. You say, I don't feel like it, and you teach your body that emotion controls action. But you say, I go anyway, and you become a different beast entirely, because the man who moves without motivation is the man who can't be stopped. He doesn't need hype. He doesn't need a cheerleader. He is the fire. You can feel it right now, can't you? That voice deep in your chest that says, this isn't who I really am. It's not anger. It's awakening. It's not frustration. It's fire. The weak version of you is suffocating under the pressure of the truth. And the truth is this: you were built for more. more discipline, more focus, more power, more leadership, more excellence. You don't need a better plan. You need a stronger decision. One decision to cut off the option of going back. Burn the bridge, burn the boat, burn the comfort. You won't need it where you're going. You're stepping into the version of you that chooses pain when it builds strength, that chooses isolation when it builds focus, that chooses pressure when it reveals greatness. You will kill that weak version of yourself, not with hatred, but with honor, because he served his purpose. He showed you what you're not, and now you rise.